know the police who gave him the arms because he was a good buddy. You know, he was a good buddy, somebody who could be trusted because he was a Freemason. This is why he was given. Now, you don't hear about that. You just hear like, oh, well, he got the guns and it was a bit naughty. The policeman knew him. How did he know him? He knew him through the gun club, but he also knew him because he was a Freemason. You don't hear that side of it. You know, it's like, oh, we can't mention that because it'll bring the Freemasons into disrepute. If it's there, it deserves to be reported. Why isn't it being reported? So it's things like that. Yes.
On the basis of desensitising, don't you think that there's a more general, a more contemporary situation that we've got with computer games and
yes.
violent films, whereby particularly young male teenagers, say early teens, and possibly even younger than that, are exposed to the violence in a visual format without being really exposed to the emotions or the consequences. I mean, we've got a case, haven't we, where is it Keith Bulger's, one of Keith Bulger's killers is back being bombed?
Yes, yes.
You know, to think that a couple of 10-year-olds can actually kill a 2-year-old, they have to be detached from reality, don't they?
There was the Columbine killings in the United States. I mean, you know, they claimed that games of a violent nature as well. I mean, it makes you wonder whether kids do pick up on these things. I don't think all kids do. I have this feeling that not all kids do, but some do. And that the problem is you will get some that will attach to that. And
but it's so deeply ingrained in our society. I mean, I remember being horrified about 2 or 3 years ago, going into the Pact Centre, where you've got funding that's been fought for Pewsey. Funding which is available for anyone who wants to call for it, is being attracted to Pewsey, and they filled a room full of about a dozen, maybe 14 computers, and I walk in there to do something, and there are 12 or 14 boys of that sort of age, all playing the same shoot 'em up program, where they're effectively driving down a road somewhere in apparently a Middle Eastern country with a machine gun on the front of a jeep, killing people. And charity money is being used to within Pewsey. Well, I think that's just absolutely ludicrous. And I can see a direct parallel to the desensitisation. Surely, however else, those boys have to some degree been desensitised.
It's interesting that the Skull and Bones Society, their motto, which they have up as a very large banner or a sort of thing hanging up on the wall, is the word war. So they go in and do their ceremonies and whatever they get up to in front of, it's quite well acknowledged, this symbol saying war. And, you know, it's kind of like, would you worship war? Do you think war is a good thing? I mean, you know, considering the Bush's involvement in being through there, you know, Clinton was involved in the Iraq War, Bush's were involved in the Iraq War, even now Obama. You know, he's not prepared to pull out. He's not prepared to get rid of Guantanamo Bay when he said he was going to. It's these agendas that go beyond the puppets who are in power. They're not the real controllers. They're just put there in order to give a different flavour and keep the society going. But the actual, what they do and how they operate, operates to a completely different plan, which is set out by people we don't see. You know, making decisions we don't understand, and they are connected by these secret societies, and you can trace them all back. You know, they don't just get to become American presidents, and you know, it's the Prime Ministers of the United Kingdom. Do they just fall into those positions? You know, like a lot of people with Blair, my interest in him is not just because he was the Prime Minister, it's because of where he came from before that. I mean, he was a QC, he was a barrister. Yeah. And the barristers, the Law Society, comes from a Freemasonic knight organisation. It's all Freemasonic knightry, you know, and this doesn't get talked about a lot. You know, you have to be invited, like with the Freemasons. You can't just say, well, I'm good enough, I want to be in the bar, I want to join the bar. You have to be invited in the same way as you have to be invited to the Freemasons. There's lots of parallels there like this. And, you know, I think it should be exposed, because in Nazi Germany, something I wasn't taught in school is that Hitler was very occultic. Okay, I remember we did history right through, and I was interested in it. I thought it was fascinating. But years later, I found out that there was this whole different layer that isn't discussed in schools to do with children, telling them these guys were occultists. You know, they were bad occultists. They were parading through the streets in regalia and hoods and things like you saw from the Bohemian Club. And there's colour footage, or not video, film footage, there's colour footage of all these things taking place. And it's bizarre. It's bizarre. It's done like on a massive scale, whereas the Bohemian Club is on a small scale. Nazi Germany was doing that stuff on a big scale. And why isn't it talked about? Why doesn't that get represented in schools? It's almost like deleting history. You know, it's just kind of not, it didn't happen like that, it happened like this. Repaint the history. There's nothing stopping you finding out about that. But it's not taught in schools. And I know that because I did it. So, you know, I think that people don't want the illuminated societies to be exposed. And I think that's the challenge for people, really, in discovering why so many things are wrong with the planet. I think is actually looking at the secret societies and illuminated societies, finding out what their agendas are, such as the New World Order, and, you know, why Gordon Brown, which is why I asked, is he a Freemason? Because he's been going on television telling everybody that he's really glad we're going into the New World Order. You know, just type in Gordon Brown, New World Order into YouTube. You will get lecture after lecture where he's gone, oh yes, the New World Order, ah yes, the New World Order, yeah. And now the newspapers are kind of taking it as read now. They're going, oh yeah, the New World Order, yes. Yeah, but it's like, what is the New World Order? And why do we want to be part of it? Well, what the New World Order is the illuminated societies bringing together all countries, all borders under one government. One government, one religion, and, you know, whether you like it or not. That's their big goal. That's their master plan, what they're racing towards, what they want. And now it's becoming commonplace to even be talked about as like a normal thing. The New World Order's coming, yeah, you know, going into the New World Order. Business is New World Order. I think it's in your face. It's in your face, but people aren't really wanting to see it, you know.
So hard to get a platform on the mainstream, though, isn't it? That's the trouble.
Yeah.
It's just not getting any coverage at all in the media or anything. So it's hard to pursue it and find out where it's going to go, really.
And you get called a conspiracy theorist, you know, or some, you know, fringe lunatic if you bring it up. You know, they say, oh, what, you're trying to say that we're trying to do something to take over the world? You know, yeah. Yes. Yeah, actually. That's exactly what you're doing. So.
I was just going to ask, why do you think it's going on? You know, going back to basics from the beginning of time, why do you think there are certain groups and societies, secret societies, that actually want to control us?
Okay. Well, the question there was, why are the secret societies going back in history trying to control us? I think it's a basic thing which has gone back for as long as people have been alive to want to control. And this is why you have kings, you know, they take the land off the people and they fight, and then
basically bad.
I think that there's always been people who seek power, and they will ally themselves with other people who are seeking power, and they will take the power, psychopaths, yes, and they will take the power away from the weak so that they can have the power for themselves, and they will brainwash people into joining armies under pretenses. You know, we've got to do this because the bad guys are coming to get you, and they will kill your family because they're bad, because they eat children. And in fact, you're the ones who are killing, you know, more than the people you're talking about. It's all brainwashing to get people to believe in certain ideals that are wrong, so that these, you know, twisted people can get their ends.
So it is the case that psychopaths run our world?
Oh, I believe totally psychopaths run our world. I mean, I just say, look,